the Introduction to Engineering, and POE, Principles of Engineering, and last year, my junior year, Civil Engineering. I've been taught many different skills, from learning Inventor to learning Rivet. It's just like very different like that. We had to all adjust to that. We didn't know how they worked, but during the process, we all learned how to do it. My community service, I've been a kids volunteer in my church. I help teach little kids like during the service. And I've also been helping out. I was injured during basketball season, so when I couldn't play, I was still helping out, doing something, either taking score or helping the scoreboard, or doing books or helping concession stand. Here in METSA, I did come paint these walls, the colored walls. I did come paint. I still have my pants that I brought like every day to painting. I have all these different colors, so it's just kind of a memory that I have now from METSA and just painting and having fun with my friends and having it as a community service. Also, I have been a tour guide for METSA, so when we have guests or people that come and want to look at the great school we have, I've been one of those volunteers. And also, when Fitz was here, we all know he had a little trouble organizing, so I helped him a lot on that, keeping things together and keeping his papers in place and his pencils, and just not have them scattered everywhere on his desk where he can't find anything. On my honors, on my awards that I've received, mainly I've had them from basketball. My freshman year, I was Pride Heart Hustle Award, which is the girl that puts the most effort into it and just does everything possible she can do to get what she wants. My sophomore year, I received the offensive MVP. I was captain as well. And last year, my junior year, I received MVP and I was captain as well. My extracurricular activities are basketball. I was a junior exec. I was in Key Club my freshman year, but I wasn't really too involved into Key Club because it involved a lot with basketball, and for me, basketball was one of my great priorities that I had. And I am involved in my church choir. My interests, as you can see, are basketball, singing. I love being on computers, and I just love reflecting on things like this. I love reflecting on my life and how successful I've been, or what mistakes that I've done so I can make them better for myself and create a better opportunity for myself. I did have an internship at Linux, what we'll be looking at later on in my presentation. These are our learning outcomes, and one of them that I would really like to put out there is active collaboration, which was one of the biggest things we had to do here in METSA. It was like, you have to actively collaborate, or if not, your project is not ever going to be successful. And this was one of my strengths, which I thought was great for being here in METSA, since we all had to be in groups all the time. I'm a great communicator with people in small groups. I love getting my work done. I guess, not being the boss, but just directing people on what we need to do so we can do things right. And one of these active collaboration examples that I would like to give is when we did the Julius Caesar's Redux project. We had to write a skit out and present it to our audience, which was our classmates and our teachers. And each of us had to learn the part that we had to do. So each of us were like little actors, and we each had a part to do. And I mean, we each had to actively collaborate here, because if none of us remembered our parts, then the play wouldn't have come together and be successful. And for this, I actually did receive the Best Actress Award. So. I just want to touch on a few more. I would like to touch on my presentation skills, which as a freshman was very difficult for me. I'm a very shy person. I like to keep everything to myself. I don't really like talking in a big crowd. I can do singing because it's just not me, but talking in front of people was a big thing for me. I would always be nervous, just shaking in my seat until it was my turn, but while I was presenting, everything was okay, and I knew I could do it. So as time passed by here in METSA, my presentation skills kept getting better and better, and one of those was the Julius Caesar's project, which I already touched on that, and received the Best Actors Award. One of the others I would like to touch is my technology skills. Here in METSA, technology is a big thing. I mean, we see computers everywhere. One of the big things we had to do with Inventor and Rivet was really hard for me at the beginning as a freshman. Inventor was really hard for me. But as time passed by, I kept learning like in progress. You know, I would ask people to come help me, how do you do this? I don't know how to do this, you know, but like you begin to like open yourself to your team members and to your teacher and ask like for help, you know. And one of these technology skills projects that I would like to share is in IED. We had an Odyssey project, which all the classes got together, all our core classes got together, and we had like the same focus of the project. So it was about the Odyssey, which we had to read in our English class. And in our engineering class, we had to create a boat that would withstand a whirlpool, that wouldn't just break apart, that would withhold and go through the whirlpool. And in here, each of our team members, we had to each do a certain part of the boat. So it wasn't just everyone, like it wasn't just one person doing it. So here's where I really had to learn how to get my inventor together, which our project did succeed. Now I would like to go to my college comparison. The two schools that I was really debating about going into was Auburn University and the University of Arlington. Auburn is not here, home, you know, I like to be home with my family. I'm a very family person. I like being with my parents, my sister, my church. Everyone's like my family here. So it was a little difficult for me to choose a school that was out of Dallas or Texas. And I did a lot of research during this, and I was just like, you know, what school is going to be better for me? Where am I going to learn more? Like, just things about the school, like where would I fit in better? And through this process, I figured out that I wanted to go to University of Arlington, and obviously Arlington. Here I learned that, well, I'm going to be close to my family, I'm still going to be close to my church and the people I love, but also it's a great school. It's one of the top engineering schools, which I do want to become an engineer. Like during the process of being in METSA, at first as a freshman, I wanted to be in METSA because I wanted to become an architect. I wanted to build my own house. Like I was like, I'm gonna build my house. I'm gonna build a new church for my church. You know, I'm just gonna create like my own little city. That was like my plan. But throughout the years here in METSA, I kept changing my mind through an architect to an electrical engineer to a mechanical engineer, back to an electrical engineer. And now, during my internship, I actually had, which I'll touch on more later, but I actually had the opportunity to be there, and it was an electrical engineer place. Like it was electrical and mechanical engineers mainly, and I worked with an electrical engineer, but that kind of helped me figure out what I wanted to do, which I will tell y'all later what I actually wanted to do. My internship I did at Linux Industries. It's at Metro Crest in belt line, so it's not too far away. It was just like 5 minutes away to get there, so it wasn't too bad to drive. Being there, it helped me just know, first of all, it was really difficult for me because it was like, oh, you know, older people, I'm gonna be working with older people. It was kind of awkward at the beginning, but as I got to know everyone, like, it was fine. Like, I started getting more involved with each and every one of them. My responsibilities there, I was actually partnered up with an engineer there. His name was Eric, and I was actually partnered up also with another student that interned there. His name was Angel, and we both had this, like, the same task. So he did one part of it and I did the other part of it. So on my part, I had to, Eric was developing a new product, a new unit that he wanted the new unit to be able to save money and energy throughout time. So, like, I mean, at the beginning it would be pretty expensive, but over time that money would save up and, like, be back in your pocket. So here I had to test the unit. Like, he had like a model of it, and Angel and I, we both had to, like, sit there in the machine and we just had to test, and it was like weeks of testing. Like, most of our being there, it was just like testing the product. It was either testing the temperature, the humidity, and just the voltage, like how much would go into it and what would come out, what would be the outcome, if this would damage it, if that would damage it. And we did that, and after we took the data, we had to actually put it on a spreadsheet, which we had no idea how to do. Like, Eric came into our little cubicle and he was like, I need y'all to put all this data on a spreadsheet, and he just walked off. And Angel and I, we just looked at each other, we were like, oh, we kind of don't know how to do that, you know? So we kind of tried and figured it out on our own because we didn't want to go ask because he was going to be in a meeting, so it was just kind of like, oh, we have to figure it out on our own, which was actually ended up being successful because we actually did figure out how to do it, and it was actually better than the way they had been doing it in the past, so we kind of taught them something new. And after doing that, he actually presented our data to the board, to his board members and his team, the team of the unit they were building. And our data was used to figure out if the product was actually going to be approved or denied. So the product was actually approved, and in that we also had to sketch these little tubes. It was these little tube parts. I don't really remember what they were called, but they're little tubes, and we had to sketch them out for him so he could draw them in. And it was, to us, it would be like Inventor, but it's like more advanced. So that was our task there, but also once we were all done with that, we had a little extra time. So they actually had this unit that was causing a leak, that it was not only that unit, but several units that were causing the same leak. So our task, or our small project, was to figure out where the leak was coming from. So he cut out a small section of the unit where the leak was coming from, and he's like, here you go, tear it apart and come back and tell me where the leak is. So we were just kind of asking around the different engineers, and we're like, okay, so what do we have to do to test it? And it was actually on a small pipe. It was this really tiny slit that was caused by another tube connecting it. So they had to reconstruct, like, how they were going to build that unit for the next units that come. Oh, and being there at Linux also helped me think that I didn't want to be an electrical engineer. I enjoyed what I was doing there, but I knew that that wasn't what I wanted to do for the rest of my life. And during some times there, my sponsor wasn't there, so Mr. Seeley, our internship teacher, he allowed Angel and I to go visit some other sponsors, which I actually liked, and it was a biomedical place, and that's now what I figured out, that that's what I want to do. So I want to do biomedical engineering. Our capstone project is nice. It's not quite done yet. It's halfway there, or a little more than halfway. And our purpose for this, first, we wanted to build a baby crib. We were like, we're tired of seeing the same baby cribs, you know, And we were just like, okay, we're gonna figure out this new baby crib. But then we talked to Miss Ronnie, and she was like, this is not gonna be possible. You need to be able to safety approve it, and they won't, if you give it to them, they're not gonna be able to use it. So we actually wanted to give our sponsors something that they could use, and it just wouldn't be sitting there like a display. So after that, we kept thinking and thinking, and we talked to our sponsor, and we were like, what do you need? Like, do you need some, I don't know, like new toys or just something? And she couldn't figure out much of what she wanted us to build for her, what would help her in the daycare. But we, after walking around in the daycare, we noticed that there was a space limit. So we wanted to help them, like, keep everything stored in a smaller place, so the kids would have more room to play with. So in this, we decided to build a table. It's a small toddler's table to fit like 4 kids. And in the center of the table, we decided to build a shelf. So the shelf would come up and down from the table, and the kids would be able to, it has a lock. So the kids won't just be like messing with it and ending up breaking it, but it has a lock, and it would, when they would want to open it, they would unlatch the lock and push it, and the shelf would raise up. And that's where they could get like their coloring books, crayons, markers, any of that kind of creative stuff that they might have. And I have some pictures that I have to look at. So this is Paul and I at the store at Turner Hardware. This is me going by myself to Home Depot, having no idea what I'm gonna buy. This was actually at my house. We were building the shelf there, and it wasn't like a fake picture. I was actually doing it, and Paul can be the judge of that. This is me painting the table. We actually had a table like donated to us, so the table was kind of marked on. So we decided that we wanted to paint it so it would look clean once we turned it into our sponsors. So this is at Home Depot, looking at like screws and springs that we wanted to buy. And this is actually like the hole cut into the table where the shelf would go. And lastly, I would like to show y'all some few pictures of myself. This is just me by myself at my house. During one of those snow days. And this is my sister and I, which is one of the reasons why I still want to be home. This is actually at my internship. At the beginning of our internship, they gave us 10 books when we walked in there. They were like, read this, read that, and read that too. And they just like kept piling and piling books on us, and we had to take notes. As you can see, I'm taking notes there on a book, on some equations that we had to do. This was actually the part I was talking to you guys about the part that they cut out from the unit, and we were looking for the pipe which had the leak in. This is the beginning, my first day of actually doing something. I think this was like the spreadsheet or email that we were working on. And that's here at METSA, painting my pants. You see the pink and the yellow on there. And that's just again the capstone project. These are all pictures of capstone, which I showed. And this actually I was not doing. I was posing for this picture. I was scared of that machine. I was like, Paul, you can work with that and cut it. I mean, if you hurt yourself, it's okay, but I don't want to hurt myself. So I let Paul handle that part, the manly part, you know. This is just me painting again. This was actually one of the marble projects we did in POE that we had to design so the marbles would spread like, they would sort out like in different colors. So on one side would be the black ones and the other side would be like the clear ones. And this was coming home from a banquet. That was my offensive MVP night. And this was just me in basketball, what I love to do. See, I was usually the smallest one out of everyone else.
But fastest.
Yeah. And this is me on the bench cheering on our girls here at home. And I like to get involved in many sports, so I played Power Cup this year, even though we lost. It was still good. I had fun. It's just me being a part of METSA when we went to the Cowboy Stadium. And this was actually a picture in chemistry that was taken. And I actually had no idea this picture existed until Eddie found it, and I was like, whoa, that's me. I was like, oh, that's cool. So I was like, METSA, I was like, whoa. And this is me singing at my church. I was into the song. And this would be prom night. And this would be the end of our portfolio. I don't know if anyone has any questions for me.
I do. When you went visiting the other sponsor location, what was it about biomed that enticed you to switch majors? I mean, I understand why you didn't like electrical.
Well, honestly, going there, it was mainly about making braces. The place I went, it was just, they made like knee braces, ankle braces, just like wrist braces, anything like for sports and stuff. And like, since me being a part of so many sports, I was like, I know, like, I've been injured quite a bit in basketball. I mean, I've injured my knee, my ankle, my shoulder. So like, I kind of know what I would want in a product. And it's not just that, but it's also in like helping people. Like, I want to be the biomedical engineer that makes prosthetics. So I want to like be able to give someone what they don't have and what they need. I just want to be able to like touch someone's heart and be like, oh, I made that for you. You know, I was thinking about you when I made this. Like, what would you need? How would it benefit you better than me? So I thought it was more like a giving back. I'm receiving something, and I'm also giving back to someone that actually really needs it.